Now this is an
Whoa.
ultra wide shot.
What?
Hey guys, it's Max.
Angelica.
And Vadim?
And today we are doing another blind camera comparison with the new Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV.
The iPhone 13 Pro.
And the Samsung S22 Ultra. And the reason we're calling this an unbiased comparison is because Max went out and he took a bunch of photos with all three phones. I think he actually took video as well, and we have not seen them except this first one so far.
Now this Sony costs $1,600 compared to $1,200 for the S22 Ultra and $999 to get the best cameras in an iPhone. So we'll see how good are these cameras because Sony's putting a huge emphasis on them. And what's even more interesting is that we have the latest software updates for the Samsung. We also have the beta version of iOS with the latest camera changes. So we're gonna see how these stack up.
So go ahead and get your pen and paper or your phone and play along with us. We want to know what you get, so let us know in the comments.
And I will also say I actually voted and I looked at all these images and videos on a 6K display very, very closely, and I'll show you guys my opinions on what I think is best. So here you guys go. You guys saw the first image. We have a lot of more color contrast differences. What do you think and what do you like?
I think the one on the left looks the best just because I feel like I see a lot more detail. When you look at the sign, it looks a lot more in focus and sharp, and the detail over here, and on him it's like much darker on the other two.
I'd also have to agree with the left one because it basically kills it in every single way. First of all, it's brought up brighter. The details are more sharp, especially in the denim jacket, and just everything looks better in terms of color.
All right,
So, left.
that is the iPhone.
iPhone, wow.
It's interesting that it has more color and contrast. Before it was a lot more natural. Here is the next shot. I had to crop them a little bit. There's a lot of differences here.
All right, this one I'm actually going with the center because I feel like it's the most well balanced, and I do like the highlights that pop out more. It's more bright and it's nice and sharp. And I noticed that in the trees, they look very natural compared to the one on the left. It's very like washed out.
I'm going with the right. I feel like the sign pops out a lot from the background, and the water really pops out too. With the left one, everything looks really flat. There's like barely any contrast. With the second one, it looks pretty blown out, but there's so much contrast in this right one.
So left one sucks the most.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
There you go. No love for Sony
S22.
yet. This is a really harsh environment, sun blazing, harsh shadows.
Oh, this one's got to be the left for sure. The highlight roll off on the faces are the most natural, whereas in the middle, it's like just washed out, bland on the hot spot side of the face, and the one on the right is just kind of too contrasty. So left for me.
I agree.
S22.
S22. Here is our first video. This is slow motion. So let's see what you guys think.
Center, instantly.
Center.
It's just by far so much more detailed in the
Yeah.
center. Kills it.
S22 Ultra. The one thing you guys didn't notice is that the Sony is 4K 120 frames per second compared to 4K 60 on the others, but it doesn't really make the image much better, at least in this scenario. We have our selfie here, very tough situation.
Whoa, what happened on the right? It
Interesting.
looks so like out of focus, the one on the right. That's pretty bad. I'm going with the center. The one on the right looks out of focus. The one on the left looks like really washed out and weird.
The one in the
And it's
center
blown out.
just looks the most balanced.
I agree, I think it looks amazing. A lot of detail
Very
there. The sky isn't blown out either.
It's very impressive.
And it's
Ooh,
the S22. Now the Sony has a much larger sensor for the front-facing camera, and here it might actually be out of focus, but you might be right. And we'll
Yeah.
see if that sensor makes a bigger difference in low light. Here is the next shot. We have our first portrait photo.
The one on the right looks very good. Just every aspect of the portrait looks great. The colors, everything, and it's also the most detailed, I think.
I
right,
agree.
for sure.
The one in the center is a little too flat. The one on the left has detail in areas that I wouldn't want it. Like I would want the focus on him.
Yeah, and this is brighter too, since you guys
Very
know.
Yeah.
good. iPhone.
iPhone. It's gonna be interesting if the iPhone's gonna do the portrait, win the portrait war again, but we'll see. And we have this scenario, landscape, but also with some subjects mixed in.
Wow, the one on the right.
Yeah,
Oh
immediately
my
the one
goodness,
on
that
the
is
right.
perfect.
They stand out so much. There's so much depth.
Look at that hair detail. Wow, that's
It
sharp.
looks perfect.
It's
That's really
interesting,
good.
yeah, so it's unanimous for the right. It's interesting that this phone knew that the subjects matter too, so actually focused on them.
Looks really good.
The iPhone. And we have an insanely tough portrait scenario. This is just craziness. None of them are great, but which one's the best?
Okay, the one on the left is garbage, so not that one.
Yeah.
The one that looks the most subtle is the center.
The center?
Yeah, there's a bunch of weird patches on the right.
Yeah, it just keeps blurring the actual
random stuff.
So center does a good job.
S22. And yeah, the Sony, it got some gaps and crazy blur all around. So the algorithm didn't do that good of a job. Now we have a zoom shot here, right around 2.5 times.
Immediately the center for me. It's so sharp. It's so clean.
Super sharp. The one on the left is by far the worst, just terrible.
S22 Ultra. iPhone looks the worst. The S22, of course, has a 108 megapixel sensor, so it looked good. And we have a macro shot.
I'm gonna say the center. It really stands out.
The one in the center has really good depth of field, but I'm actually going with the right because I feel like it's the sharpest, the most detail.
Well, you guys voted for the Sony and the iPhone. Is that the first Sony?
That's my first Sony.
Yeah,
the first Sony.
So the Sony, well, let's just go to the next shot. Here's another macro shot, even closer.
Wait, what? Yeah, the one in the center, I
like the center. I like the center one. It's really bright, but it pops out, and
I'm
it just
going
looks
with
really
the left.
pretty.
I like the left because I like the colors, and you look all the detail on these little tiny flower buds, whatever that is. Colors, yeah, left for me.
You guys are in a disagreeing mood today.
Yeah, this is blue. This is blue right here.
That's
I
true.
don't care about the color. You can fix that.
S22 and iPhone. So the Xperia obviously did not focus. It's actually the only phone that does not have a macro mode, which is why if we go back in this shot, I have to step back further in order to get anything in focus. That was the closest. And this is a large object where both of these switch to the ultra wide that have autofocus and they go to macro, which allows them to get beautiful shots like this instead of not being able to get it. Now we have another video, very tough HDR kind of situation. This is all shot in HDR.
This one on the left is so blown out. Their faces are so blown out. This one is so dark. But the center one has so much detail, and all the background and everything looks really balanced.
Yep, I agree. The one in the center I like the best. The one on the left is just soft, it's blurry, it's blown out. The one on the right is too dark for my liking.
It's so flat. Look at everything in the background.
And that is the iPhone. And if you guys notice, it actually is a wider camera angle. Both the Sony and the Samsung crop in a lot when you're shooting 4K video. And this is an insane lighting situation. It's a photo, super backlit, harsh shadows. This is HDR where you really need it.
You can see the most detail in the center one and all like the shadows. It's actually brought up and you can see them rather than the other two.
Yep, I also like the center. I like how the sun, you could actually see like some roll off of the color.
Yeah, and even though it's really HDR, you see the subjects and it doesn't look crazy fake. And that is the S22. So far, looks like Samsung has had a nice software update. It's been a couple for the cameras.
Very good.
One I just installed. And now we have a video. Now, Sony talked about their new sensor. They could shoot 4K 120 or 4K up to 60 with HDR in the video for better exposure. So let's take a look. You guys let me know what you think looks best.
Okay, the right's garbage. It's the center. Yeah, it's the center. I mean, oh, look at that beautiful sunset colors and just everything's nice and sharp and brought up.
And the center is the iPhone once again. The iPhone is looking great for video.
What happened with the Sony?
And the Sony, even though they are finally doing frame blending, double exposure for video like Samsung and iPhone is, it is still nowhere near the level of quality. And we have a wide portrait shot here.
I'm gonna go with the right because it has the best balance of depth of field, background blur, colors, everything detail. The one in the center is kind of washed out and looks like portrait mode didn't even work.
Yeah.
The one on the left just overkilled the crap out of the portrait mode that it looks bad.
And the darks are very, very dark on her face and hair while it's brought up really
Lena
well
pops
here.
a lot here.
It's a right.
iPhone, that portrait looks great and the colors pop a lot. You were right, Vadim. The Sony didn't work. Now the hard thing is sometimes like the iPhone will tell you, hey, it's not gonna work with the Samsung. It was telling me that it was gonna work and it wasn't. And it's hard for these comparisons to know what do you just cut out. But if a phone is consistently having issues, we kind of have to show at least some of that.
So for this one, it looks like the one on the right still didn't make portrait mode work, but it's Also, if you look closely, like the detail is lacking compared to the other one, especially the one in the center has a lot of detail, and it's also kind of like washed out-ish, like the clouds, you don't really have color. Just like the one on the very left, it's kind of washed out. So I'm choosing the one in the center because the contrast, the colors really pop. Like if you look at the bag, like the color of the leather really
Yeah, it looks real.
looks real leather, you know. So center for me.
Yeah, the one on the right, just everything, there's no detail and it all looks weird and like pixely and flat. The one in the center is so like dimensional. There's so much.
Yeah, it literally looks like a DSLR
It literally
photo.
looks like a
The
DSLR.
quality looks like a real DSLR camera, which that still looks like a smartphone, but
It
a
still
good
looks
portrait.
really, really good.
And this one looks pretty bad. S22. I have to say, when I saw
That's
this
good.
image,
That's
I was shocked
really
by
good.
how good it looks. I'm sure pros couldn't tell compared to a lot of
Yeah.
DSLRs. Now, I have to also mention, with the Sony, I took images here multiple times, and I was so nice to the Sony during the shoot. I would take double the pictures on it to make sure stuff worked out, to make sure it's fair, because it's just having issues like this where it said it was a portrait shot, but then in reality it didn't work out. Now here's the next one right
Whoa.
here. We have an ultra-wide photo with a sunset.
Easy.
The left, right?
Yeah, left
The left.
instantly, like destroys the
Yeah.
other two. Like look at the detail.
The detail.
And it has
the
less
colors.
flaring, too, and
Yeah,
the
less
colors.
flaring. You can see
Look
all
at
the
that
detail
sky,
in the back.
too.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
S22
Wow,
Ultra.
that
Man,
looks really
Samsung,
good.
Samsung killed it.
gosh, that camera's good.
Killed it.
And we have a really tough shot here. Elon really wanted to climb up.
Wow.
instantly the
look at
left.
that. Yeah, the left. You look at the detail,
On the
like
jacket
look at all the
especially,
texture
too.
here, the colors of the face highlight roll off. It's not just smudged and blown out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys make sure you're commenting down below
Yeah.
too your thoughts
Yeah.
on some of these images. We want to hear
Kills
your
it.
opinions.
iPhone.
iPhone.
The iPhone looks great. Now we have a portrait shot indoors, middle lighting with a lot of stuff going on.
Look at that. The one on the right looks
The one on the
so
right.
good. Like the blur, everything, the
Yeah.
detail, the colors. This one just hot garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Like throw that away. The one in the center is not too bad, but the one on the right
He really like
is the best.
pops out
'Cause, like
the
his
most.
skin like pops out. Yeah.
All right.
Ooh.
iPhone did the best in this scenario,
What
and
the heck happened
Sony
here?
not so good.
That's really
That
bad.
looks like it's 3 years or so behind. Not trying to be
Yeah.
mean to the Sony, but
Wow.
all right, we got that bad
Look
boy
at
there.
that.
I mean, I think we know it's the center.
Wow.
Unless if you guys disagree, let me know. Yeah.
Although I wish we had this, like all
More
of
sky.
that,
No, those colors did pop out. It's
That
kind of
looks
like,
really
what do you
pretty.
prefer, you know? But
because I was
Wow.
honestly gonna say the right. I'm gonna go for it.
Go
Sorry.
for it.
Do
Good
it.
job.
Sorry.
So the left one is just sad.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's bad. That's
Okay,
20.
so we got
iPhone.
another one for Samsung and iPhone. Sony, yeah, and this shot actually took 3 to make sure it wasn't some error or software or something. And
Wow.
no, we got a portrait shot
Whoa.
of a vehicle
Oh, okay.
this time.
All right, the one on the right is just way too dark, so it's not gonna cut it. The one in the center looks really good. However, I noticed that most of the car is blurred out, so I'm going with the left. I think it's the best balance.
I think the car in the left one definitely pops out the most, but the blurs are kind of weird sometimes. Like I just noticed up here that it completely blurred
Oh, yeah,
those
those
out.
little-
Just little things like that, but it does
And look
pop
at this
out.
one. This is completely sharp on the little antennas,
Yeah.
even though the building's blurred out. So both of you said left, and that is
iPhone.
the iPhone. And we have one food shot, really crazy tacos here with a ton of detail and lower light.
So the one on the left is cut out because it's just super blurry. It's super soft. In between the center and the right, I mean, it's gonna come down to what's appetizing. The one in the center, I like the colors.
I'm gonna say the one on the right. I like the colors.
And we have
one for
the Sony.
I got one for the Sony.
I personally like the Sony on this one. And we have a nighttime, night mode shot with some zoom.
This one looks so blurry everywhere. Everything looks blurry.
I mean, like one of them just kills the others by like 5 times easily. The one in the center.
Center?
Look at all the crazy detail.
Yeah.
You could actually read the sign River Park Square right there. All the colors just
Yeah, no,
look
the
so
other
good.
ones
All
you
the
can't.
lights. You could read the Dolby IMAX. Yeah, center.
Samsung. That
Wow.
looks great. And we have a nighttime ultra wide here.
Whoa.
I'm gonna go with the one on the right because I like there's more
Really?
detail on the bricks. You could actually see the texture, and the some of the lights are less blown out. I think, especially at the top.
It
I
looks
mean, it's
more
close.
blown out to me than that.
I mean, if you look way up here, I'm going with the right.
All right.
iPhone.
We got
Xperia.
Sony and iPhone.
Oh, nice.
And we have an ultra-wide nighttime shot.
This middle one has so much flare, like all over the entire thing. It looks crazy. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the right because of that. Obviously the left one.
Yeah,
It's
the left
terrible.
one is super blurry. It's a mess. The one in the center
So
has way
dark.
too much flaring. The one on the right is just by far the best. Super sharp.
iPhone
iPhone.
on the right. And the Xperia, the interesting thing is it was actually the longest exposure. The iPhone was about 3 seconds, and this was consistent with nighttime shots. The Samsung was about 4 or 5 seconds, and the Sony was about 7 or so, and it still was way darker.
Wow.
And we have this shot of Spokane Falls.
It's gonna be the one on the right for me. If you look at this dome of lights, it looks by far the sharpest.
There's a lot more detail
And-
on the building.
Yep, you could actually see the green color in the Washington Water Power sign and the detail.
iPhone at night looking great. And we have a selfie shot here. I will
Whoa.
say,
Yep.
this was an insanely tough situation. We're super dark, the background is super bright with the lights there.
I mean, it's gonna be the left.
Yeah,
Has to
instantly
be.
left. I mean, by far.
Samsung. Yeah, the iPhone has a bunch of noise and the Sony
Lot.
just looks not good. Not good. So that larger sensor for the front, not really helping out here. And we have, I think this is our last video, low light video performance. Let's take a look.
Wow, the one on the right's crazy. Yeah, the
And
center.
look at the color on that sign and like
Everything is so sharp over
everything's
here.
nice and sharp. It's not blowing out lights, whereas the left just looks terrible. The one on the
It's
right
crazy.
just kind of over contrasted.
iPhone. So overall, iPhone is definitely the leader for video. We have this nighttime portrait with night mode and portrait combined.
I'm gonna say she really stands out in this right photo. Like she really pops out from the background, but the background also looks very like nice and saturated.
Yeah,
so much detail.
I think I would go with the right. I think overall it looks very good. The center doesn't look as good. The one on the left,
The
I think,
left's
is a
pretty
little
good.
bit washed out, kind of. I don't know. So
It's
right.
pretty good, but the right one's best.
Yeah.
iPhone with the
again.
portraits too. And we have a nighttime portrait selfie.
Oh, definitely the left.
You guys don't like the middle one?
No,
The
it's like,
smooth
it's-
skin?
Oh yeah, it's like purple. You look like a model.
Hey, that's not a good thing, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I think left
the
looks
only
the
one with
most
detail.
yeah, you could actually see detail in skin and hair, everything.
S22. The portraits, by far, Samsung is killing it with those. And we have this
Whoa.
kind of a zoom shot. Now, this is where, once you guys choose, I'll have to let you guys know about something.
Whoa.
I mean, the right or no?
I don't know.
Whoa.
This is hard.
This is weird.
I know, right?
So I actually took like 3 or 4
Whoa.
photos because I thought it was a glitch, and that happened every time.
But this is so blown out too. This is really difficult.
I mean, honestly, I
I
kind of like the
guess-
center.
I mean, it's just like UFO
hard.
sighting in your photo, right?
I like the center
There's
because
more
look,
detail.
look, you can see all the, like the color detail in there. It's not like insanely blown out, and you see more detail in the flag,
'Cause
everything,
Even all of this is super blown
and you get this
out.
cool effect.
Yeah, UFOs. All right, Samsung in the
That's
center. So the Samsung has that 10 times telephoto. iPhone only has 3 times, so the rest is digital. The Sony does have the optical zoom camera, but it's not working. It has focus
Wow.
issues. It was having a bunch of issues. Sony said not to use it. They asked not to use it.
Oh, wow.
But they still sent these out for review. So I think it's weird to just completely ignore if that's a huge selling feature. So I had one of these super zooms in here. And even though it's not zoomed in as far, just looking at the image itself, it definitely sucks the
Yeah.
most.
No.
Even with the regular lens. So,
Yeah.
okay, we got
Whoa.
night mode shots now where it's really dark.
Center.
Oh yeah, I love how you can see all the little stars
All the
and
stars.
all the detail in the
color.
trees, and yeah.
And this is completely handheld, quick exposure for night mode.
Very
S22.
good.
S22
Wow.
looks
That looks
great.
so
And
good.
the Sony once again took the longest to take the image.
It's so
Wow.
dark.
That's what we got. Now this is an
Whoa.
ultra wide shot. What? Handheld, ultra wide, and I leaned up
Yeah.
against a little post because it was
Wow.
my eyes couldn't see anything. But
Yeah.
one of these, yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
I guess you'd have to go with the left.
Obviously the left.
Because if you're trying to
but
see
What
something
if you guys
in the
want to
dark,
see the tree trunk there?
It's so detailed though. That looks really good if only it wasn't so
it
dark.
is. Yeah, it's just like it's unusable because it's too dark. Left is the only option.
Yeah.
iPhone. I did not
Xperia.
expect to have that much of a difference. The
Wow, it's
Xperia,
like pitch black.
you
Yeah.
can't see much at all.
Wow.
And then this right here
Whoa.
with the main lens, I leaned up against the little post there. So the phones took longer exposures because my handle was steadier.
Well, this one's so much brighter, but the sky looks really nice over here.
I mean,
the tree,
yeah.
the detail.
I like the one in the center.
Center.
By far, everything's more detailed. Everything. Beautiful.
S22,
S22.
beautiful stars right
Dang.
there,
Yeah.
definitely. And we have the
Whoa.
last one. This is set up on a tripod for very long exposure, no shake at all.
Oh gosh.
I'm going with the center
going with the
because the
center.
one at the right just terrible. All the colors gone. The
So
one on the left, just
contrasty.
everything's just like orange
Yeah.
here. You know.
Yeah, it's really
So
weird.
center.
Samsung once again with the star, the night
22
star
Ultra.
photo. So
The Xperia does a really good job of doing the worst in the darks and the worst in the brights.
well, the stars, you have a lot of stars here.
Dang.
Now, I have to confess again here. With the Sony, even though it doesn't look the best either way, it will not just let you go into 30-second exposure like the other two automatically. The Samsung and the iPhone, they know, hey, the phone's not moving, let's do a long exposure. It's on a tripod. The Sony won't. So this picture actually had to go in manual mode like you would on a real camera, set it to 30-second exposure,
Oh, wow.
and then this is what I got, by far better than if you just hit the shutter button by itself, which is unfortunate that it can't be smart enough to do that. But yeah, that center, the Samsung looks amazing.
Yeah.
So we tried giving the Sony the most fair chance. Well, you guys saw. Let us know what you thought about it. Now it's time for these guys to tally up their results. I have mine that kind of surprised me too when I looked at everything in detail on a 6K screen. Make sure you guys pause the video right now, comment down below what your score was. This is always really fun. And let's start out. Should we go with Angelica?
Yeah, you go first.
So, iPhone won for me with 17, followed closely by the Samsung 16, basically tied, and 2 for the Sony.
2 for the Sony. Man, so you have iPhone in first place?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Vadim?
Okay, this is crazy. I got 17 for the iPhone, just like Angelica, and I got 17 for the Samsung.
Samsung.
Tie.
Close.
Only one for the Sony Xperia.
Man,
Can't
we
believe
have
it was a tie. Yeah.
$1,600 bucks.
Basically.
I tried
Oh, that's the most expensive one.
$1,600. I tried tying it. Now, the crazy thing is, Sony makes the best smartphone sensors. In the
Yeah, they
iPhone,
do.
all Sony.
Yeah.
But
All of
the
our cameras.
The software.
We use all Sony
Yeah, all
cameras as
Sonys.
well. We love Sony.
Yeah.
But the software just can't compete. The computational photography, Samsung and Apple are so far ahead, and they both do a killer
There's
job.
so much to fix.
Now, for me,
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time looking at a 6K screen. I had 19 for the Samsung, 12 for the iPhone, and 4 for the Sony.
Wow.
Interesting.
So you guys had 1 and 2. I got
Yeah.
4 because a couple times it just looked more natural, more like a DSLR as far as the colors where I chose it. And I'm taking a closer look, but still the iPhone had 3 times as much points as the Sony, and the Samsung got first place for me.
Wow.
There you guys go. So far, I'll just say I'm impressed with Samsung. Their software
Oh,
updates
yeah.
do make a big difference.
Very good.
The iPhone just mostly ahead in portraits.
Portraits are
If
very
you
good.
enjoy portraits, the iPhone does a great job. So there you guys go. Thank you guys for watching. Click that circle above to subscribe to help us reach our goal of 1 million subscribers. Check out one of those great videos right over there, and we'll see you guys in the next video.